Humans are really considered the most generic and the least interesting race in Warcraft because guess what, we're all humans anyway, so what's so special about playing one in the game? However, and a big however, Warcraft humans are not exactly human in the earthly sense of the word, and some of them are one of the most powerful characters in the entire Warcraft universe. So what are the strongest and the most notable humans in the entire lore, good or bad? If you ever wanted a fast, simple, and just straightforward gaming browser, then look no more, as the sponsor of this video, Opera GX, might just be exactly what you're searching for. Opera GX is a very responsive and customizable browser without any of the unnecessary clutter. It is awesome for gamers as you can put limits on the browser when gaming with all the tabs open in the background, so as you can see on the screen, you can control just how much CPU and RAM you want the browser to utilize, as well as limit network bandwidth so that you don't get any lag within the game. Additionally, you can integrate all the important apps, Twitter, Discord, and there is also a GX player where you can log into YouTube Music, Spotify right from the sidebar. The player allows you to keep all of your favorite services in one place right here on the side. Best of all, there is the GX Mobile, which works as an excellent companion to the desktop version. Use the link in the description to check out the sponsor of this video, Opera GX, completely free. Number 10, Thoradin. The human, a legend of humanity, and a king very few actually know about. Long ago, Thoradin was a warlord of the Arati tribe, and he managed to unite the scattered tribes into the first great nation of Elator, and he founded the capital, Strom. Then he forged a strong bond with the elves, which served as the connection to pass down magical knowledge, and with the elves, he managed to defeat, at the time, the very powerful trolls. Thoradin essentially created the humans, and without him, it is likely that the trolls would have won and that humans would remain scattered and in constant strife. Then, by the end of his life, by the end of his reign, he had abdicated from his throne, wanted to learn more about his ancestors, and ventured into the tomb of the old Catraxi that fell against the Titan Watcher tier thousands of years ago. Having unfortunately awakened it just as the old god general ended Thoradin's life, he managed to bury his sword into the ancient monstrosity, preventing it from waging war against Azeroth and pretty much doing the entire planet a massive service. Now, while Thoradin may not have traveled the cosmos and fought the Legion or the Void Lords, historically, thus far, he is the most important human, and without him, nothing would really happen. Number 9, Bolvar 4 Dragon. The Khadgar of the Shadowlands, and currently one of the most important characters. It is hard to say if Bolvar is even a human right now, but we know for certain that he was at one point. Originally, Bolvar was a very respectable and powerful paladin that actually ruled the Alliance until Varian returned, and then he became a commander of the Northern Defensive. He was quite dominant in battle, as we had seen at the Rat Gate, but ultimately he fell due to Forsaken treachery and plague. However, the Dragon Flames had reanimated him, and then he was tortured by the Lich King in the worst manner possible. However, he was just so mentally strong that nothing could break him. Then Bolvar became the Lich King, and he did his best to control the Jailer for nearly a decade, only to ultimately be defeated by Sylvanas. He did provide quite a bit of resistance in that fight, but she was just so crazily overpowered that he didn't really have a chance. Now, Bolvar is leading the way in the Shadowlands, and his story is yet to unravel. He is actually really powerful right now. Thus far, we have seen him only fall under Jailer's direct influence, which any mortal really would, even Sylvanas, who had defeated Bolvar. However, the main reason 4 Dragon is on this list is due to his insane spirit that the Lich King at the peak of his power could not break him, and he did manage to break other very powerful characters like Drenosh Sarfang. Number 8, Kel'Thuzad. Before we get into Kel'Thuzad, I want to add Medivh here as an honorable mention because he really is one of the most powerful humans ever. However, because he has Sargeras inside him and all the other shenanigans, I decided to add Kel'Thuzad to this list instead, as I feel like he is much more powerful human in terms of like really acquiring the powers himself. So Kel'Thuzad was a powerful mage of the Kirin Tor, a member of the Council of Six that started getting weirdly obsessed with undeath, so much in fact that he abandoned Eldaran his entire career and joined the Lich King, forming the Cult of the Damned. Kel'Thuzad pretty much single-handedly organized the destruction of Lordaeron through his network of connections, which worked like a charm. Then he was resurrected by the Sunwell, became a Lich, worked from Extremis, and was pretty much the second in command to Arthas. As Kel'Thuzad was defeated, he then joined Maldraxxus, became one of the leaders, and then used the leverage to plunge Maldraxxus into chaos in order to help the Jailer. Ultimately, however, he was destroyed in a Sanctum of Domination. The reason why he is on this list is that this was just your regular human mage, a talented one, but just a regular human that managed to destroy an entire kingdom, co-rule an undead army, and ultimately rule a realm of the afterlife, messing around and manipulating cosmological Titan forces, which, for a simple mortal human, is beyond an achievement. Number 7. Tirion Thordring. Really, the most powerful paladin on Azeroth, despite not being connected to the Naru or any cosmological light force directly. Tirion was one of the first 5 paladins of the Silver Hand, as well as a hero of the war against the orcs. However, in the end, as he attempted to defend an orc, he was exiled and stripped of his titles. However, Tyrion's rise to prominence came with the rise of the Lich King, where he proved himself more than capable. First, he led the crusade against the Scourge, and then he led the battle directly against the Lich King, where he used the Ashbringer to smash Frostmourne and defeat Arthas. Following the victory, he returned to revitalize the Plaguelands, and as the Legion invaded, he was quite literally the first to respond in a disastrous offensive. Ultimately, Tirion was captured and killed, but not before he endured insane torture and pressure. His current whereabouts are unknown. My speculation is that he's not in the Shadowlands at all. However, as a human that defeated the Lich King and stopped the Jailer's plans, Tirion definitely deserves a spot on this list. Number 6. Khadgar. One of the most accomplished mages really in all of Azerothian history. Despite him being grey hair and all, he really isn't that old, he was just magically aged. Khadgar was the direct apprentice of Medivh, whom he ultimately defeated. Then he destroyed the Dark Portal in the Second War, joined the Council of Six, and became the leader of the Kirin Tor. On Altered Draenor, he once again shot down a portal, and he did plenty of cool things that showed just how powerful he was. At a certain point, even Gul'dan was scared of facing him in direct combat. Khadgar was crucial in the battle against the Legion, and he was so powerful that he, together with the mages of Dalaran, actually teleported the entire city to the other side of the planet. His current whereabouts are unknown because there's such a big character in Worlds of Draenor and Legion. You would expect him to also help us in the Shadowlands, but it does seem like he's taking the backseat now. Without a doubt, however, Khadgar is just one of the most potent and strongest mages around, but also one of the most influential humans in all of history. Number 5. Jaina Proudmoore. One of the youngest humans on this list, but one of the most powerful mages ever. Jaina was never some crazy guardian or 100-year-old bearded sorcerer, yet she has all the firepower she needs. Jaina is the daughter of the Lord Admiral of Kultiras, and despite being in her mid-30s, she has experienced multiple lifetimes. Jaina was the one that formed Terramore and saved her people from the fall of the Eastern Kingdoms. She was a leader of the Kirin Tor and really was present in anything relevant that happened since Warcraft 3. Jaina was always a diplomat, but with Garrosh and the most recent events, she almost did a 180 on her character, and really, she had the might to back it up. With the help of an artifact, she was capable of nearly drowning the entirety of Orgrimmar, and as we had seen in the battle for Lordaeron, she came on a gigantic flying ship that she controlled and pretty much single-handedly kept Sylvanas and her jailer powers at bay. Then in Shadowlands, she attempted to escape multiple times and was obviously picked by Zobal for her power. Now, Lady Proudmoore's main strength comes from her influence and political power obviously, but she is actually one of the strongest mages ever. Not just human mages, but mages in general, and is capable of defeating almost anyone in a 1v1 duel. Number 4. Artis Menethil. Not sure how much of a human by the end, but definitely the most influential one in the recent years. Artis, even though young, was actually a great warrior and a pretty exceptional paladin, not the best one ever, but a pretty good one for his age. Unfortunately, the love for his people and the recklessness led to him taking Frostmourne and becoming the Lich King. However, a few years later, as he gathered his power, despite being undead, half undead, Artis was without a doubt the most powerful human ever at the time. He essentially built a scourge that was nearly destroyed to a superpower that nearly conquered Azeroth, and this guy actually managed to defeat us, the champions, a feat no one had accomplished thus far. On top of that, Artis defeated Sylvanas, the King of Quotalas, Illidan, Draenor Saurfang, and many others, making him not just one of the most powerful humans ever, but one of the most powerful characters overall. Number 3. Aegwynn. Aegwynn is potentially the most powerful human sorceress on all of Azeroth. She was but a regular human, not some Sargeras-infused child, but as she became the guardian of Tirisfal and received the power from the council, she was at the time the strongest mage around. However, Aegwynn refused to just be a puppet, and she served as a guardian for over 1000 years, focusing on the guardian's original purpose, stopping Legion influence. And well, she did just that as Aegwynn faced off against the Avatar of Sargeras and managed to defeat him, although she did kinda fall into his plans. However, we know that initially Sargeras did genuinely fight her and she was still winning. Regardless, Aegwynn later on imprisoned his body in the tomb of Sargeras. Later on, she gave birth to Medivh. She lived for thousands of years, she mentored Jaina, and ultimately helped defeat Cho'Gall. The matriarch of Tirisfal, Aegwynn earned her place as not just one of the most powerful humans, mages, but one of the most powerful characters in the game. Number 2. Anduin Wrynn. Really, the most powerful human on this list, at least proportionate to his age. Anduin is barely 20, yet is the most prominent of his entire race right now. Now, Anduin is powerful and all in the political sense, as he was a prince, and until recently he was a high king of the entire alliance, but as an individual, Anduin is ridiculously strong, even though he doesn't look like that. Since his birth, he had a natural affinity for the light, and throughout the years, that was explored to great detail. He literally managed to resurrect, and we've seen it again during the Siege of Lordaeron, pretty much rezzing the entire battlefield. Then, when Anduin was in the Maw, his connection was so strong that he managed to call down the powers of the light in this godforsaken realm. I don't even need to go into his achievements in detail because Zobal picked this guy out of the entire universe for his most important task of literally undoing the universe. Jailer really could have picked anyone from any planet to serve as his agent, yet he chose Anduin Wrynn. He was so prominent that Kirestia welcomed him into Bastion with open hands, and keep in mind, this is a place where the best of the best paladins have to pass through crazy processes to even gaze upon the leader. So yeah, Anduin is without a doubt the strongest human, as he is now relevant at a cosmological scale and he's barely out of his teenage years. Number 1. Turalyon. The current leader of the Alliance and the oldest, most experienced human alive right now. Originally, Turalyon was a priest that became one of the first 5 paladins of the Knights of the Silver Hand. He was very important in the Orcish Wars, defeated and captured Orgrim and all that cool stuff, but that is not why he's on this list, as he was so brave, he went to essentially a suicide mission to Outland where he seemingly disappeared forever, and turns out he ran into the Prime Naruk Zera and joined the Army of the Light. Then, during the few decades he was missing, like 1000 years passed, and he waged countless wars against the Legion across the Twisting Nether, and I wouldn't be surprised if he also faced other cosmological forces as well. Turalyon was so prominent that he became a leader of the Grand Army of the Light. He was blessed by Zera to cross boundaries of mortality, as Turalyon was found worthy to become the eternal protector of all creation. Now, he joined the Alliance and is currently the leader and potentially the most important character in a future expansion. We don't know the full extent of his full might, but this guy has thousands of years of experience leading a technologically advanced light army on a trans-dimensional spaceship. He also battled orcs in a conventional war, legion, and everyone in between, and is now a king of an entire faction. I really don't think you can go much further than that. Thank you for watching. Check out top 10 possible expansions of the Shadowlands by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doran's Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.